hard to believe, but it's already been 4,000 miles since I got this Supra. Remember 4 months ago, I flew down to LA after finding a broker on Lease Hacker, got a good lease deal, and now I feel like I've really gotten comfortable with this car. If you follow my channel for a while now, you know that I've had an M4, an M235, and now this 2021 Supra. And I'm really feeling like this is the perfect car for me. But before we really get into that, I want to talk about the exterior and how the car looks and a couple things that I've done to it to kind of make it my own. My favorite aspects of the car are really the headlights. Everything starts at the front of the car. They're so aggressive. There's no bulb or anything. It's just a row of LEDs and a light strip. The headlights are so aggressive, in fact, that a lot of times when I'm driving behind people, they tend to let me pass just because the car has that aggressive look. And the look just continues throughout the car. Compared to the M4 and the M235, this is actually my first real sports car. And the fact that it sits low to the ground actually took a little bit of adjustment. I remember going up to a couple traffic lights and having to kind of scoot up just to see if the light was gonna turn green. But the car sits low to the ground. Still has a little bit of clearance because the car hasn't been lowered yet, but it just has a sleek design. Like, look at how accentuated this rear corner panel is. It's like some really strong hamstrings, just like the car is ready to pounce. If there's one thing that I thought would have bothered me before I got the car, which ended up being a non-factor, were the fake vents. Like, we have this fake vent here, you have the fake vent in the hood, you have a fake vent in the bumper, and a couple more just throughout the car. But before I got it, I was really kind of off-put by them. But now that I have the car, I don't even see them. It's kind of like having a tattoo, right? Once you have a bunch of tattoos, you don't even see them anymore. Now, talk about things that I've done to the car to kind of spice it up and make it my own. Have to start with the exhaust. First things first, best bang for your buck is a catted downpipe. So I ordered this Powerneedy catted downpipe from Speed Industries, had it installed as soon as I got it, and it really opened up the sound of the car. Now the car sounds like it should have sounded right from the factory. And it still has a catalytic converter, so it doesn't smell terrible like my M235 did. And recently, I also got this Rexpeed spoiler just to add a little bit of carbon fiber accent to the rear and kind of give it a little bit of extra, you know, a little extra kick to the rear of the car. Also important, I got the wheels powder coated. I hated the look from the factory. The two-tone wheels are just so off-putting to me that it was one of the things that I had to get done right from the get-go. Actually, I don't even think I had the car for more than a week before powder coating the wheels. I went with a gloss black finish, which is different from my previous cars where I usually did a satin finish, just because I wanted to change it up, and I feel like gloss black actually matches better with the carbon fiber on the spoiler and the carbon fiber on the mirror caps. I think that's a pretty good overview of the exterior. Again, I love the way the car looks from the outside, but where the fun really begins is when you start driving it. Now, before we talk about the interior, I need to ask for a quick favor, and please go ahead and smash that like button to help out with the YouTube algorithm. This interior, it's a BMW. I think once you get in the car, you realize like, oh yeah, wait a minute, this isn't a Toyota. This car was made in partnership with Toyota and BMW, and it's one of the most controversial things about this car. Anytime you talk to a car enthusiast about this car, they'll let you know that it was a junction between Toyota and BMW and it's not a real Toyota. But I mean, is that really such a bad thing? Is it a bad thing that two of the greatest car manufacturers got together and built us a sports car? I don't think so. Speaking subjectively, from my personal point of view, it was kind of like a marriage made in heaven. I've had 3 BMWs, so I'm very comfortable with the brand. I'm very familiar with the aftermarket ecosystem. But on the other hand, I've always been a fan of JDM cars. You know, ever since Initial D and, you know, Tokyo Drift, I mean, even to this day, I still would love to have a Nissan S14 in my garage and anytime I see pictures of R32 Skylines, I really just drool over them. So having, you know, this car made by BMW, which I'm comfortable with, and also have that Toyota kind of character to it, I mean, it's perfect. It lets me live like two slices of a fantasy at once in a way. Now, drama and controversies aside, this interior is all business. It's really minimalistic. It has everything that you need. You won't have crazy wants, you know, like there's no cooled seats, for example, but there's a lot of tech. There's wireless Apple CarPlay, there's wireless charging, and there's like one of the best adaptive cruise control systems I've ever had on any of my cars. If there are three things I could change about the interior, it would be one, I would have a sport button on the steering wheel. Right now, I have to do the dinosaur arm thing anytime I want to put the car in sport or take it out of sport to try to reach the center console. I don't know, maybe my arms are just too long. But the M4 had like this M1 and M2 button. And I mean, all this car would just need would be a sport button. But if I could just have a sport button right here so I could switch between, you know, kind of attack mode and chill mode, that would be really cool. Also, I wish this car had the RPM gauge on the heads-up display. It's something that I had in the M4. It's something that's in all the M cars with heads-up display. It's something the C8, the C7, the C6 Corvette all have. I'd give away the speedometer. If I could get rid of the speedometer and have the RPM gauge up there, I would 100% make that trade. And lastly, I wish this car had better forward visibility, more specifically in between the iDrive and the rear view mirror. The area between the rear view mirror and the iDrive system is really narrow, and it's not something you can change yourself with aftermarket parts. Now, as far as my driving impressions go, after 4 months of owning the Supra and doing a track day, I'd say that everything that I said in my track review still holds true. The car glides on the road and it pushes out of corners with so much confidence. It's really a blast to drive. I mean, my main concern getting into this car was, you know, is it gonna be more M235 than true M car? And turns out it's a really true M car the way it feels. It has all the suspension components from the M2. So it's a lot more engaging than the M235 was, and it's even more engaging than the M4. And it costs about 15 grand less. I mean, it's such a bargain. I'd also have to say that adding the catted downpipe to the car was a great addition, because now the exhaust can really just lash out whenever I put it in sport. So my big takeaways are this. I would say that even though I leased the Supra on a 3-year deal, I'm strongly considering keeping it because it fits my need perfectly. Driving is a passion for me. It's not just a hobby. If I could have my perfect Saturday morning, it'll probably be out on some canyon roads with the windows rolled down and the exhaust burbling away. And so I think that if that's you as well, then the Supra will fit you perfect. Now, if you need 4 seats, then yes, the Supra doesn't take that box, and an M2 would probably be a better pick. And if you have double my budget, then yeah, a Cayman GT4 would be a better car. But if you want the best bang for your buck, a Supra's hard to beat. Hell, I'd go as far as to say this A90 Supra is the best sports car Toyota or BMW has ever made. Now quote that. But as always, thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't already. I try to make videos twice a month, and I'll also be live streaming Formula 1 2020 now that league season is back every Thursday. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.